Okay, so the idea I'm going to talk about in this video is that you can't know the pitch if you don't know the key. So this is something that I think is really true. Some people disagree, and you can do it different ways, but I think that you can't know the pitch if you don't know the key. So the way I think about music is I understand the key, and that helps me understand the tonic. So the tonic is the first note of the scale. So a key will be something like D major or B minor. So the tonic is also called the movable do. Some people just call it the do, but I think they really mean the movable do. And by that I mean that do isn't always, I mean like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And do isn't always C. Some people think of do as always C, and I can't get my head around that. That doesn't make any sense to me. I think of do as being whatever the tonic is in the key. So I don't use do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. I just think about the tonic. That's all I think about. But whatever the key is, the tonic is the first note. So if the key is D major, then the tonic is D, or the movable do is D. And if you know what the tonic is, then you can work out the rest of intervals from that note. So if you don't know the keys, then I used to teach piano to children, but I don't do it anymore. But one of the things that I found frustrating at first was I tried to use, there's lots of mnemonics and rhymes about learning the key signatures. But actually there's only 24, and the mnemonics kind of get in the way. The rhymes stop you actually learning the key signatures by just learning them. Instead, you learn the rhyme, and then you have to work out the key signature from that. Whereas there's only 24 key signatures. If you learn one a day, then you'd know them all in a month. I think just learn all the key signatures, and then you know them, and you don't have to use any rhymes. You just know them. So you know that when it says two sharps, it's D major or B minor. And you can just learn them. There's probably loads of videos on YouTube helping you to learn the keys. Or if you really can't work out the key, or you really can't remember, because it is hard for people if you don't know them to learn them, you could just ask someone who knows the key, or ask the conductor. They'll know the key, because you can't read the pictures without knowing the key. I think it's really important. So when I'm thinking about, I've written some rubbish music here. So if you look at this first piece, if you weren't doing what I'm suggesting and you were just thinking about the notes, then the first note is F sharp, which is this one, and then the next note is C sharp. So you can kind of think, oh, I've got to go down a fourth, so I've got to go down the scale, and it goes dum dum dum, and then the next note is up, and it's up. It's called a second because the interval's called a second. So, but here you might get confused. If you weren't thinking about the key, you might think, well, a second is this. So it goes dum 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 dum. So you might know that that's wrong, or you might not know that's wrong. It is wrong because it's not a major second; it's a minor second. C sharp to D is a minor second. Dum dum. So it actually goes dum 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 dum. So if you're thinking from the first note and working out the intervals by going down a scale and up scales, I think you can get a bit confused and sometimes sing. You don't really understand the music because you don't understand that actually this isn't F sharp and then this is a fourth below. I mean, that is true. It is F sharp and this is a fourth below, but really we're in D major, and F sharp is the third note of D major, and C sharp is the seventh note of D major. So these notes are relative to D major. And if you understand that, then you understand this is actually a D. This is in D major, so you're never going to get this wrong if you just know that you're in D major. Because you know that F sharp is the third note of D major, so this is a D. So the third note is so it's dum, and then C sharp is the seventh note, so you can just go down one. So D is this, so it's dum, so it goes dum dum dum, and then D is the first note of D major, so it's just dum 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 dum. Does that make sense? So it's a lot easier to think about if you understand you're in D major, and these are all the intervals are relative to a D. Even if there's no D in the music, like if you got rid of this D, if you understood you're in D major, you could sing this a lot better than if you were just trying to work out the intervals based on what the last note was. So here's another example. So this is still in D major, but we haven't got a D at all. There's no D in the piece. This is an F sharp, this is a G, and this is an F sharp. So the first note is F sharp, dum, dum, was wrong, but you can work out the intervals because you know that D is here, and you're singing da 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 because you're in D major. Whatever. Imagine that was a good scale. So because I'm in D major, I'm thinking of the intervals relative to D. So this is the third note, this is the fourth note, this is the third note. If instead you just thought, I'm singing in F sharp, dum, and then it goes up, you might sing dum dum dum, which makes sense. But then you sing in a G sharp, you're not thinking in the key, you're just thinking, I go up a note. The problem is that when you go up a note and when you go down a note, or when you go up all the different notes, you can do it in different ways. There isn't just 1 second. It's called a major second and a minor second. There isn't just 1 third. There's a minor third and a major third. Whereas if you're just in the key and you're thinking, I'm in D major, and what is this note relative to D? What is this note relative to D? What is this note relative to D? You think about every note relative to the key you're in, then you don't have to worry about that major third, minor third stuff. All you do is thinking, what note of the scale is it in? Okay?